Hi, and welcome to the Virtuoso podcast. My name is Theophil Asamoah-Jedu, and I'm the founder and artistic director of Gramophone Ghana. I'm also the conductor of Gramophone Chorus and as well the director of Gramophone Academy of Music, and now the host of the Virtuoso podcast. This is a platform where we are going to be having conversations with virtuosi, people who have gained mastery in some aspect of music. We're also going to delve into issues about life and talk about their life's journey. We're going to take some nuggets from them about how they have lived their lives and how art music and choral music can impact our society. And so we'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to our channel so you can get more content like this. It will also help us reach more people and keep you up to date when we send in a new episode. So welcome aboard, and we hope you enjoy our conversations. Welcome to the Virtuoso podcast. Mr. Nii Lantey, Michael Nii Lantey Lamptey.
Mr. Asamoah-Jedu.
Welcome to the Virtuoso podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I called you at pretty short notice.
Sure, yeah.
And you honored my invitation. Thank you for coming.
All right. It was a pleasant surprise, actually. So.
Yeah. No, you're a big man in choral music. So
I've not realized yet.
Yeah, big man in choral music. So it's an honor for me to sit across the table from you.
I'm honored to.
Yeah. So on the Virtuoso podcast, we like to start by getting to know our guest.
Okay.
And I believe there's a lot in a name. When anybody I ask about you calls you Nii Lantey.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. I know Ghanaians have a wonderful system that they used to name their people. So tell me about that.
I'm from Jamestown. Nii Lantey is simple. It means I'm the firstborn.
Okay.
So I have two others after me, Lante, Lankwe. So Lante is just the firstborn.
Okay. So there's a firstborn boy.
Male. Yeah, sure.
Male. Okay. That's fantastic.
Nii Lantey.
That's fantastic.
And then the Michael. That's the botanical name. Michael Nii Lantey and then Lamptey. That's the name.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. In the choral space, when I look at the directors, I know a lot of them. I can trace a relationship with them.
Okay.
Back a couple of years, right? Even before they started their choirs, or so on. But for you, I don't even know where you came from.
Just in the shadows.
And all of a sudden, you are leading quite wonderfully, quite remarkably. You're leading one of the strongest choirs in the country.
Yeah.
But we'd like to go back on this podcast. We want to go back to where it all began for you as far as music is concerned. So if you can tell us that story.
Okay. So for me, I'm the little child who used to play around choirs, who used to sleep on the pews. There are so many people who don't remember me, but I enter churches randomly and I remember so many of the people I used to see. So my parents are choristers. So you'd have no option than to follow them to rehearsal because there's no one at home. And that's the only option. So I didn't really have an interest in doing anything music, but by way of sitting down and just listening to them, I was picking up these things little by little, subconsciously. At a point, I wasn't really with my parents. I had to move to an auntie's place. She was a chorister too, so it was the same thing. So I was doing Thomas Clegg, St. Peter, and my auntie was married to a reverend minister, Reverend Asante Dankwa. So anywhere they go, I'm technically child of a man's. You follow around. So that's how it started for me. So I think I had an interest in doing the keyboards. I was really attracted to playing the keyboard. But it wasn't a smooth one for me because I didn't have a teacher yet. So I owned a keyboard. It wasn't a big one, a toy keyboard. I just had to explore it. Yeah, so I just used to explore with the keys, and they had numbers on the keyboards. Good. So I just explored. I didn't know the skill, but I kept playing with them. What I did was it was making sense to me the more I played with it. So I'd usually take my singing notebook and write the numbers of what I thought made sense to me. So a typical example, it had nothing to do with choral music, but Pastor Joe Beecham's Our Margin Kwa. So I'll just 1 1 3 2 1 3 2 1 7 2 2 2 1 2 3 5 5 4 3 4 3 2 1. So I write a title, I write the numbers. The title, the numbers. That's how it started for me. So I just knew melodies. When I hear the melody, I know the numbers to them. Okay, so that's how it all started. Then, so I wasn't doing anything singing. It was keyboard for me till one day I met. My mom introduced me to Mr. Jerry Coomson. He's still around. Okay. Very fine organist. So he started me on the organ. Yeah, he started me on the organ, and then so I started playing little by little.
About what age was this?
Should be around 13, 14 years. 13, 14 years. Okay. By that time, I had an interest in music, but not choral music. Because for my father's side, where I lived at Odoko, they loved music, but not choral music. They played me. If you ever visited me, you'd think we were having a party. It was back-to-back music. So I had an interest in general music, such that even at SS, I was doing rap. Okay. I liked everything music. Okay. All right, sure. So I was doing choir to back home, but when I get to school, SS, I started doing rap. Till I got to the university. I mean, in your first year, you don't get the opportunity to just start playing. You're on probation, so I was forced to join a part. That's why I started singing.
Oh, in university?
In university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so singing was a thing, but it wasn't really a big deal for me till I got to the university. That's where I got to know, really, I could sing. I have a nice voice too, so I explored the singing. I actually downed the keyboard playing for a very long time. So that's it for me. The rest, they say, is history.
Wow. That's quite an interesting story. And it's quite interesting because I've sat down with James Amar.
Okay.
I've sat down with Professor Clement Apa. I've sat down with Dr. Alfred Adakwe.
Sure.
And everybody seems to have picked up the instrument by forcing their way on it. None of them have said that they had formal lessons.
Yeah.
Do you think that learning the shrewd way, if you like, makes you understand it better than having formal lessons?
Not necessarily. I think that you need to have a certain hunger for it. I mean, there are too many times people walk up to you after church service and tell you, "Oh, me person miss you on keyboard," and after 3 days they are done. I mean, it's just the niceness of it for them. But once you have the hunger, the rigor of learning also, it drives you. Yeah. So the formal way is just an addition to what you used to be exploring, actually. So it should have a base. I mean, your interest for music should have a base. There should be a certain hunger and appetite for it. And then when the formal kicks in, it's just to fine-tune things you already thought you were doing. So for me, I'd go with that.
Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. Having that drive, having that hunger is very important because it's not the easiest of paths.
No, not at all.
So if you don't have either encouragement or an innate desire for it, or both, you struggle. But you spoke about your parents being choristers and eventually moving to live with in a manse. You think that experience contributed to your musicality?
It did because my mother is tough. She's popular. I mean, those who know her. Because she paid for, my classes for keyboard. She wake you up, bonyumi mam, hombondam, and she'll be pretty angry because he couldn't play a certain song. And it was all for my good. So My dad, not really, but he would pull you along to any other musical concert. Oh, I feel and then he takes you along. Good. For living with my parents, I wouldn't want to talk too much about choral music. It's about the other influences coming from where we lived was more like a family house. So I told you my father's family liked music, but not choral music. So there, I picked up a lot of rhythms. No guns. They like to dance. So that was why I liked. I like their rhythm. I like their genre too. So I picked up those things from there. But when I came to my auntie's place, it was purely choral music. Purely choral music. And then I got to meet Professor Moisi and a number of people.
Oh, you met Professor Moisi?
Yeah.
Where? What church
so
was
that
this?
Is it Mount Sinai?
Mount Sinai, yes. Okay. Yeah, Professor Moisi.
All these people, they wouldn't remember me now, but I really do remember them at night.
Wow. Professor Moisi is a really great man. Yeah. He's maybe one day I can sit with him and ask him some questions too.
Sure, you should.
Oh, that's interesting. You haven't spoken much about school life and whether music played a role there.
Yeah. So, primary GSS, nothing. I think GSS at a point, we stopped using the bell, St. Andrews, we were using the talking drum.
This is St. Andrews,
yes,
Medina. Okay. Okay.
We started using the talking drums. There too, I loved to play it. So there was this guy designated to play, but I had to convince him to also give me a pass, to also try my hands on it. And I liked it. So I used to play the obonu from time to time. Yeah. Then in SS, Accra Academy, they weren't doing any serious music then. Now I'm seeing a difference whenever I follow them on social media. But back then, they weren't doing any serious music. I think I landed in trouble once. One time when I tried my hands on the keyboard, the music master saw me. And the comment he made was, "Why are you spoiling the piano?" I don't know why he made that comment, because I was actually playing. And he was like, "Why are you spoiling the piano?" I think it killed something in me. I didn't want to go close to the piano anymore. So because I liked music, I had to switch to something my people would like, and that was rap. In my school, everybody was dancing. So my friends who also enjoyed rap, we started a rap group called MOG. Men of the Games. They were doing back-to-back, songs here and there. So that was it for Accra Academy. It was purely rap music. Then uni, complete change. Now we're back to...
You met Jesus.
I met Jesus again. In uni was strictly choral music. So university choir, Gamsu choir. I was doing both. University choir, Gamsu choir. And I met, fantastic musicians. Ben Ofe. Cecil was there. Cecil Abbey. Jusam. I think you should know. Jusam was there. Yeah, and a few guys at Gamsu choir too. Ameyao.
Yeah.
And all those guys. Yeah.
No, KNUST, as far as choral music is concerned, I think have produced
too many
remarkable musicians. And it makes me wonder what it is about, not even just choral music, but even contemporary gospel.
Gospel, yeah, sure.
Joyful Way is very strong there, and other contemporary groups are strong. What is it about tech, if you can tell me? You're the first person from KNUST I'm sitting across the table from.
I'm unable to place a finger on what it is, but I am forced to think that the real crucible that births music should be science. Maybe, I'm thinking, because KNUST is all science, majorly. We do nothing music, academically, but you can tell that the scientists, the science guys you have there, they're fantastic. Because in my time, my year group, to speak for my year group, we had Albert, medical student, Medlab, Augustine, we had JT, I think he also played for HC at a point, Park Square. You had, the pharmacists, the doctors, the engineers, they were brutal on music. And I think there's something with science, the correlation. Yes, music is science, physics and all that, but we should just understand that it's not just the fine art. We should trace it back to the science too, because watts and all that.
Yeah.
Can tell they are good inventors and musicians as well. So.
I think maybe we need to open a conversation
about that.
About that.
Should be a fine one, actually.
Yeah, you've raised some fantastic points there.
Yeah.
The first time I usually like to talk about the first time I met somebody or heard about them or encountered them. The first time I encountered you was not personally. I had visited Richmond Norte's studio, Rasky J's studio, and he was excited about a song. And on the song was a fine tenor voice. And he said, "That's Nii Lantey." And I said, "Who's Nii Lantey?" But the voice, but who were you on the recording with?
That's
it was
Eddie Gazy.
Eddie Gazy, yeah. So it was Eddie Gazy. I mean, everybody knows Eddie Gazy. I mean, he's a veteran, tenor. But you were somebody I had never seen before, and I was like, this guy has a fantastic voice. So to discover today that you only started singing properly in uni, it's quite remarkable. Do you think it's you learned something along the way, or was a gift, or singing?
So now sometimes it looks like an imposter syndrome. Like, everybody says it, but you don't realize it yourself. One thing I used to do that people don't know, I just knew how to mimic voices. Not singers, but just mimicking voices. So, or I can speak like Theophil. It was just a joke to me. Yeah, so that's how it started. So when I started singing, I could just listen to, an area of repertoire and say, oh, I think there's a fine tone I think I can mimic. That's what it was for me. It wasn't anything academic where I was doing any pharyngeal placements, all those big terms. It was just, I've heard this tone, I think it's fine. I can adapt it for this song, and then I just do it. So at a point, I didn't know what I used to sing, because I was a bass singer. Called to do a solo, I can do a tenor solo, I can do an alto, I can do a soprano, because I could just mimic and just find my way around it. So for me, it's just that. Maybe it's just a gifting in it that I hadn't explored yet. And then KNUST helped me to, unravel the whole mystery. Yeah.
And, people underrate. I tell singers all the time that it's important to have a mentor.
Yeah.
Somebody who has done it, whose voice you think your voice sounds like.
Great.
And then try and learn as much from the person. You don't even need to know the person.
Yeah.
These days, because of technology, you can just find somebody on YouTube, right?
Just be following.
And just follow them, and And I think that what you are saying about mimicking voices has some role, some role there, What about directing? Okay. Because now, I think you are a fantastic choir director.
They see.
Yeah. So where did you pick that up from? Because you didn't become. Did you become Gamsu choir master or anything along the line?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I did. So I started robing formally at St. Peter Methodist. There was nothing like a junior choir. So personally, I've never done a junior choir. I was the youngest guy amongst my people. And then Mr. Jacob Bonziabe was the director. Yeah. Then
have they done his
they are yet to.
Yet? Okay.
They are yet to.
Right.
So he was the director. He's still the director there. And let me use this medium to thank him. He's the one director who gave me his platform to make all my mistakes. All my mistakes he gave me. So in our church, we could repeat the introit and use it for procession and recession, because that's what I could play then. And he didn't really mind. He would tell you, so sometimes he will give you the opportunity. Nietzsche out of base. So that's how it started for me. Good. Then I went to KNUST. I encountered Ben Ofe. I so much admired how he directed the choir. He's with Harmonious Choral.
Yes.
And then for Gamsu choir, there was this one Daniel Otu. He was fantastic too. So I learn a lot by observation. So I just observe and see what they do, and I just admired it. Somebody from there invited me to, maybe we've not gotten there, to Dansoman Youth Choir, and I met Edem. And I'm like, Charlie, there's something I really want to do, not really the keyboard. I'm not saying we cannot express ourselves fully on the keyboard, but then I felt there was a lot I wanted to say about music that I couldn't say behind the keyboard. I could only do that if I was directing. So like, Charlie, patch the keyboard and then move into the directing. So that's how it all started for me. Okay. Yeah, so I had an interest in saying more about the music. Naturally, I'm big on words. So I pick up a certain understanding about the text, and I'm like, the text is not saying... The text means something different from how we are interpreting it. Could it be this? It was just that for me. It wasn't anything refined, but I felt I had ideas, but I couldn't communicate if I was playing the keyboard. So that's how the directing thing started for me. I had an interest in doing that, and then, yeah, picked up learning from a lot of quarters. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I consider you an all-round choral musician, because aside your fantastic voice, aside your ability to interpret music very well, if I might say, I discovered about 5 years ago too that you also compose.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So I came across a song, Mimicry Didel, was it Makoma Didel? And I thought, it was a really fine balance between choral high life and calypso.
Great.
I was like,
so that's the rhythm thing.
This guy is great. Yeah, tell me about that.
So
tell me about that song, because for me that's I don't know whether I have any more popular songs, but that's the most popular song that I know.
So I think I have more hymn tunes than this one, but I think some people quite a number of people like the Makoma Didel.
Yeah.
I wrote it on a Sunday before rehearsal. I think it just hits me. Naturally, melodies just hit me. A lot of melodies. I wish I could harmonize a lot more like James and...
Yeah, James is fantastic. James harmonizer.
Dr. Adaku and all that. Yeah. A lot of melodies hit me, and then I'm like, this is something I can harmonize so quickly. So I go home, go on my piano, and I just did it, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could hear the calypso thing there, and I was like, wow, where did this guy get the idea from?
Yeah.
Anyway, in fact, that song, my choristers brought it to me, actually.
Oh, okay.
My choristers brought it to me and said, this song is a great song. And I was like...
All right. Grateful.
Yeah. So, we've established that you are a singer, composer, director, organist. I don't think any choir has gone through as much evolution as your choir has. I have seen it turn from Dansoman Youth Choir to DYC Choir, or DYC, and now Dynamic Choir.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that story?
Beautiful story.
And how you became the director of such a wonderful ensemble?
So in 2010, a very good friend of mine, Dr. Albertai, mentioned Dansoman Youth Choir to me on campus. So I think there was this conversation and that conversation started from Dr. Albert Sedusedia. Okay. I think he had come to Accra to visit Harmonious Choral. I don't know what he saw, but he was pretty impressed with the choirs he had met, and then he was asking, Intimose Accra and Wanamne Tupa. And there was Setlina, there was Eugene Osai. So that was Wesleyan Symphonic, Albert Ironai, that was Dansoman Youth Choir. So different choirs. And then there was this little debate. So I was just listening. I hadn't done anything youth choir before. It was just church choir for me. And then I actually didn't pick any. I couldn't figure out who I thought was the best. I was just trying to use proximity to join a choir. So Ben wasn't part of a choir yet. He mentioned that, symphonic, they meet at Kwashimano and live out Dr. That's very close. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, during vacation, I'll just visit the choir. Then this politician, Albert, he calls me later and says that, I'm taking you to Dansoman Youth Choir because you are my guy. And I'm like, oh, fine. So I think 2 weeks ago, I even shared his post on Facebook. He contacted me on Facebook. You know how Facebook was then? It wasn't a DM. You had to write on the person's wall. Like, do I see they meet today? You go fikam. And I replied, yeah, I go fikam, 6 p.m. And that was the first day I joined. And that was it for me. So I was just doing probation. I wasn't really recognized because, look, the first day I joined the choir, I was blown away. I hadn't heard such voices in my life. It was just church choir, church choir alto, church choir bass, my father dems, and that kind of tone.
And it was church choirs will come for you.
I know, right? Hi, church choirs. And when I heard them, they sounded so angelic. Their interpretation, the whole, everything was marvelous. And I'm like, look, I'm here to stay. So when I joined, the first day I joined, I wasn't even introduced. I don't know, maybe it was just an oversight, but I wasn't even introduced as a new member. But I didn't mind. I knew I was there for my thing, so I didn't really care. Then the next rehearsal time, they mentioned that we would have to join a certain probation, blah, blah, blah. I was ready for anything. Once I was assured I was going to join the choir later. But it was very tough. Very tough. And Adam will understand. Mr. Beverly will understand. He was a director then. And then if there was any problem with the music, he would literally tell the new people to keep quiet. In my mind, I knew I was good. And I could figure out those who were messing the music in my parts. But you are new. And nobody's ready to listen to you. So the music goes bad. The new people keep quiet. And the old people will say, because they know that, that's the only way they can pass the criticism. So the new people keep quiet. So I wasn't really a recognized person in the choir then when I joined. Fast forward, in which year did we lose our president, John Evans Atta Mills? That was 2012, I think. We were supposed to have a hymn recording for him, and then we had it at Raski's studio. And then when some of the solos, I think Kojo Sam had to do it, but I think his voice was breaking or something. That was the first time. I think Adam just looked at me and was like, you try. And I tried. And it was perfect. So then I felt like, okay, now you are seeing me. Am I a member now? Because I wasn't even given any uniform. They would share uniforms, they are extras, they will not give to you because, Charlie, you're a new guy. So from there in my mind, I'm like, okay, now that I've sung, will you still recognize me as an eligible or qualified guy to be part of you guys? Because I was on probation for too long a time. You gave me 3 months, it was close to a year, I wasn't seeing anything. Good. So that's how it started for me. Till 2013, there was a breakaway. I had to come back. I was on campus when the whole breakaway thing happened. And then I came back, and then Adam once asked me what I thought about assisting him. I'm like, yeah, I'm open. So I started assisting him. I don't know what he had seen because I hadn't directed for him to see before, but I don't know. He just gave me the opportunity. And then I started it for Dansoman Youth Choir. So when the breakaway happened, honestly, it was a big test for me because the creme de la creme had left. Not to say those who were left behind weren't that good, but the real creme de la creme. Not just the chorus, but when it comes to the administrative drive of the choir, they had all left, and then there were just few guys around. And I had to rally the people together. So there I just realized that I had that thing too. I just knew how to rally people together, talk to them. Always. Interestingly, I was like the youngest, almost the youngest then. Just a few people. I think I was just older than about 3 people. These were way older guys, but the way I could just talk to them, I was very spirited then. I just felt I could do it. We could. Because I saw a very beautiful thing going on, and then it just just broke apart. So I was just trying to mend this thing, and that's how it started for me. So my leadership then wasn't really about directing, but it was about trying to rebuild the broken walls, sort of, for me. So leadership in Dansoman Youth Choir to DYC it's been different things. It's not just been directing, been different things for me. Yeah, so it started from there. Then at a point, we felt that I think that the narrative out there was that Dansoma Ndikwa was dead. That was the narrative. So anywhere you go to perform, say, and I say, yes, Mwegu, and all that. So trying to correct that. I mean, I didn't know much about the process. I didn't know much about PR, much about marketing. So random thoughts come to me. Should we do this? Should we do that? In my bid to make the whole group work again, I think I made a lot of mistakes. That was out of immaturity. A lot of mistakes, but it was all, I mean, in the good of the group. There were quite mistakes here and there, but we did it, and then we tried to do a rebranding thing. I didn't even understand rebranding fully, but I just felt fine. If you say Dansoma Ndikwa is dead, I'll change the name so that you understand that, okay, there's a new group. But I didn't want to kick off the DYC thing. I didn't want to kick it off, so I just tried to make a DYC choir with the group. It wasn't just for me, with the group, DYC choir. So that was a very planned one. We understood. We did a social media, blah, blah, blah. Now, Dansoma Ndikwa is now DYC choir. You know our people. Now everybody meets. What's the meaning of DYC choir? And then there's nothing you can say. There's no meaning. It doesn't really hold weight. We are not, because I was picking the inspiration from GCB Bank, Ghana Commercial Bank.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because your rebranding, the first time I saw it, it was around the same time.
So that's where the inspiration was from.
GCB was rebranding to GCB Bank.
So I'm like, if you are not questioning GCB Bank, don't come and question me. And the thing kept going on and on. At a point, I was bothered, and I'm like, okay, I would have to really rework this DYC thing. If I tell you some of the names that people suggested, not from my choir, I mean outside, you'll be surprised. I don't want to even say it here. One person, I mean, he wouldn't be offended, so I said he suggested dignitaries of Yahweh.
That sounds like a church.
Yeah, more like a church. I'm like, nah, it won't work. Then in our talks and in our kind of vision that we had, I realized that for me, I wanted to do something that transcended just music. Music for me was just a tool to bring us together to do other things. I mean, it's still in the pipeline, but DYS is no music. It's more than a music. I always tell my people, for me, I'm trying to create or build a lineage. So music is just a tool that brings us together. So we have a common interest. But out of the common interest, we do other things. So the name dynamic is not actually stemming from different repertoires. Oh, life sounds two-way. That's not the point. Because there's an interest in doing other things beyond music. So that's how the dynamic came. And it was good for me because I had a D, I had a Y, and the C in dynamic. I'm like, wow, that's good to go. So that's dynamic choir. So that's how it's been.
Wow. And I appreciate your candor and being open about it, because I mean, I can imagine that. I don't know what the details are about the breakaway, but, and I mean, I don't need to get into those issues, but I appreciate that you've been open about it, and I think you should be very proud of yourself, because picking up the pieces of something like that cannot be easy. Even those of us who have built choirs from the ground up, it has not been easy. So being somebody who, as it were, wasn't in the mainstream of things, and then just when you are getting into a leadership role, something like this happens and you have to pick it up and sustain it. I think you should be very, very proud of yourself, and God bless you.
Yeah. Let me add also that the breakaway was a blessing in disguise, because I mean, the guys who moved away are doing fantastically well. I think if they had stayed in the group, it would have been just regular. I mean, nothing challenging. So they had to also go through the whole process of starting something from ground up. I know you have an experience with that. Starting it is a very tough one. I also had to learn how to rebuild and sustain. And now I think we are all meeting at a certain point. And now the message is even going afar. If we were just a group, I think we wouldn't have had such mileage. But now they have their audience, we have ours. I think we are doing well. So it's a good one for them. It's a good one for me. Because for me, I've benefited a lot. I've found myself. A lot of things I didn't know I could do. But now I'm doing. So yeah, it's been a good one.
That's great. That's great. I watched a documentary not long ago, must have been maybe about a year or so ago. And it was about your choir. I think you were preparing for He Lives. And we'll talk about He Lives. But I watched the documentary very closely. And I was intrigued by the way you spoke about music. You spoke very passionately about music. You seem to have a very clear understanding of what you are doing. Of course, which feeds into your directing, right?
Yeah.
But a very good friend of mine was on that documentary.
Okay.
I'm when he also in tow.
Yeah.
A very, very dear brother to me. And he chooses his words very carefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he described you or your choir in that documentary, described you as unassuming. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, maybe he would be the best person to really
Yeah.
give it the proper detail of, that word. But I personally think that every choir adapts the spirit of their leader. That's for me, that's what I think. So when I see your choir, you're a reflection of your leader. The spirit, the whole ethos is the leader. So my choir is unassuming because I think I am too. You don't know what I'm made of till I start to flow. So yeah, readily you shouldn't see the choir and think that, oh, I can tell they are ABC. So just give us the opportunity to just show you what we've got. I think that's what's been the challenge for a while now, but I think now we are getting the audience. Initially, we weren't even getting the audience. But now, I think we are getting the audience, and then people are constantly blown away by what we're able to do. One of the things we've done with He Lives was to, my bid to do a lot of interpretation. I realized that burying our heads in book is taking a lot from us. I don't think our singers don't remember the text or the lyrics of the music. I think it's becoming fashion that you sing and then you look. It's nice. I don't know whether it's to throw a shade at those who are illiterate. I don't know what it means, but you can see a simple amen where it is and then the men, they still want to go back and read to just prove a point. So I'm like, abolished. We are not doing anything books again. And then we learn the repertoire, 19, back to back. If it's 8 stanzas, keep it there. Internalize it. That's the only way you can really express it well. The first time was a tragedy. People don't know that. The first time wasn't good at all. Silicon. But after that, I think my people learned a ton. They just knew that, no, this is something we really have to take seriously. And since then, it's been fantastic. And that's one thing that blows people away. You did the whole concert without books. Well, it's no magic. I think it's something that can be learned. I'm just hoping we all get to adapt. I'm not forcing it on anybody, but I think that we interpret music better when we internalize it. So, yeah, unassuming. That's one of the things that will blow you away from meters. Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I think we need to improve. Choirs in general need to improve on that whole internalizing the music thing. Yeah. Because one thing that has been lacking in choral music until fairly recently has been the issue of expression.
Yeah.
We tried it, I think about 2 years ago. We had a concert with Professor Chibedu.
Okay.
And he compelled us to memorize the libretto.
He would. I think he's one who's big on that.
Yes. And honestly, I began to see improvement in the choir's expression from that event, right? Such that even when we are holding books, as it were, or sheet music, the expressions are better.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, for you guys doing a whole concert with varying repertoire, without sheet music, I think it's quite remarkable.
Well, we are not ruling out, using the
Yeah.
sheet music entirely. It's for reference, but if they can do without it, that's fine. But it's not to rule out the whole concept of using books, because, people still use them. The standards, they still use them.
Yeah. And I think you said something very interesting about choirs or ensembles taking on the character or the ethos from leadership. I think you've raised something very, very interesting there. Yeah, and it makes sense. Because like I said, I don't know where you came from, right?
Yeah.
But you've built a very formidable choir. And so it makes sense that Amweni would describe you as unassuming. He lives.
Yeah.
I think for now, Dynamic Choir does one concert a year.
Yeah.
And it's always He Lives.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, the decision to do that, and what's the thought process?
Yeah, so Dansoman Youth Choir used to have what we call the Easter concert, and that was the name. There was nothing like that. Easter concert. Then in 2013 was a lot of work, because that was the breakaway time. We needed to work around the whole concert that we used to have. So now there were deeper conversations. That's what I'm saying, the breakaway will really help then, because now there were deeper conversations. Okay, how can we make this better? How do we get the voices to be in better shape? Now we don't have all the fitter limbs, to carry the work. So all these conversations came up, and then He Lives, branding of the concert also came up, and then He Lives came up. So He Lives was actually, the first edition was in 2013, and I remember the theme was Hallelujah to the King of Kings. I don't remember how the name came about, but I just remember He Lives just was birthed there. In 2014, it almost didn't come off, and then 2015. So it's continued that way. Now, I always look out for a certain level of differentiation when it comes to what we do and what others do. So I have a lot of respect and admiration for all the other choirs, but I don't want to be like all the other choirs. I'm just hoping that if there's an opportunity that presents itself, I'm able to say top of mind, I think this is Gramophone's 40. Can you just see them? This is HC's 40. Can you just see them? Great. That's it for me. So for us, we do one concert a year because the rest of the year is choked. My people are under pressure more than the prelude to He Lives, because we do something we call the Cherubs and Seraphs Clash. If you've seen some of our videos online, I take time to really teach everything, all the rudiments of music, from intervals to, you have to know them. I send solos across. Everybody has to learn theirs. So the solo presentation thing is actually a group culture from Dansoman Youth Choir. It wasn't my initiative. I came to meet it. Everybody's presented with a solo, and then you have to come and present. And then the director makes comments. What I think he wanted really to foster was to build a lot of confidence, independence of thoughts when it comes to interpretation. The way you are doing it is not how I would want to do it. So then you can tell, okay, I like the way this guy did it. I didn't like the way. You can really, and then there's a very friendly discussion about how everybody rendered this, and I've picked it on. And then from there, we split the choir into two, and then there's a real clash. Present them with a set of songs for them to present, and I bring in judges from outside to come and judge the whole thing. And it is keenly contested because there's a cash prize, but that's not it. This is the only time you are able to really prove. And because I'm big on interpretation, it trickles down. They also really want to prove that, no, we understand the music very well. So that's what we do. Beyond that, we do a lot of outreach programs. And the reason why I don't see it online was that I had to cancel us putting it online. It is necessary for, the visibility is necessary for corporate engagement and all that. This is what we've been doing. Can you support us? But I realized that sometimes CSRs can be really, they are just lofty and then they become like bait for making some cash. I really wanted something deep, something innately satisfying, not because I was going to get recognition, but because I loved to do it and I really wanted to make an impact. So with our impact series, really, we don't really put them online. One of the things I can tell you is that we've adopted a school, and then with the school, what we are doing is we give them career guidance and all that, and then from time to time. So we're able to monitor. Right from GSS, we know who you are doing in SS, and then right from SS. And then there's a girls' school in Accra. And for them, the ladies in the choir, they take the charge. They're able to have a pep talk with the ladies. And in my choir, interestingly, I have a lot of medics. So they help them with all other things, girl. Yeah. Sometimes these ladies are uncomfortable sharing it as the guys, so they take the charge. So there's a lot of activity when we are not doing anything hills. Good. So we would have been able to stage other concerts, but the focus is also different. The name dynamic plays its role over here, doing other things aside the concerts. So that's about it.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm glad that you're using this platform to share this, because I didn't know that these are all things that Dynamic Choir is doing. I realized that you are big on introducing. In fact, I thought that the dynamic referred to repertoire.
Great.
Because I realized that you are very, very adventurous.
Yeah.
When it comes to picking your repertoire, like you can, and I remember not the Just Ended He Lives, but the one before, I heard a lot of Negro spiritual music and so on. We have a tradition on the podcast.
Okay.
And the next guest answers a question that is posed by the previous guest. And this question was asked by Dr. Alfred Adakwe.
Okay.
He's asking about choirs doing new things and not copying each other, for want of a better expression. He feels that if you go to two concerts, you're going to have the same experience. What do you think about that?
I don't want to say it's a sad thing. I think there are a lot of choirs springing up. And then for them, certain choirs are the standard. And so they would rather pick up what they do and also try to render it their own way. The challenge I feel, and I've been having this, rabbit hole conversation with Augustine Sobing, and then he shares the same, similar sentiments. We are very close, so we discuss music a lot. There's not much learning in this space. I think we are becoming pretty comfortable around, and I think one of the things that's really one of the barriers I can say is our audience. Their appreciation levels for what we do, the art form, is that low. And so really, what does it take to please the usual Ghanaian audience? High Life, Hallelujah Chorus, Captain of Israel Host. Learn 3 hymns, and I Saw a New Heaven, and learn maybe one other song for a wedding. You are good to go. You can be having gigs back to back. Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier on, there's the hunger, but the appetite is not there. The appetite is, how much can you eat? Oh, I learn a few handle things, and then we are good to go. Who is Monteverdi? Who is Elgar? I won't go into the French. No, that's not a thing for me. It's just about learning what's over, consuming what's here. The appetite is small. The hunger is there. So you can see people who are really feisty. They really want to do it, but there's no appetite. So you find that, and I wouldn't blame the choristers too much. We blame ourselves, the directors. We need to be adventurous enough. We need to really find repertoire that suits our people. There should be a very big level of differentiation, such that when I'm coming to Gramophone's concerts, I know that I'm coming to hear something I've not heard with another choir. If I'm going to HC, I know that I'm going to hear something euphonic. From all the other choirs, I know that as for this director, I'm just going to listen to him because I like the way he does ABC and how he interprets ABC. Sadly, it is not so. You can hear the same repertoire running through. So it's a sad one, but I think there's a whole explanation to it. I think it comes from a certain level of experience. You can just tell the number of people who bring on new repertoire, and then you can trace their roots to a certain time. Maybe you've not thought about it, but name it: Gramophone, Harmonious Choral, which other choirs?
Vocal
in Accra,
lessons.
Vocal Lessons, Dynamic. So all the other choirs that we know, that you feel that present you with different repertoire. Check their roots. They are all from the youth choir era. When I say youth choir era, Tema Youth Choir, Wesleyan Symphonic, Jesus and Mary. These are people who have explored skirt and blouse for a very long time. They want more. These directors want more. Yeah, I think so. The newbies feel that they are here to explore. So let's give them the chance. Maybe they should do it for a while. At a point, they will know that, there's more we can do. I think for me, there's more to be done.
No, I think you're right. And sometimes, recently we had a concert history.
Yeah, I was there.
And I was worried that the concert was too classical. And there was an argument among our choristers and even among the leadership that we should incorporate some high life because our audience would want to dance. And it happened 5 years ago when we did Messiah. We finished Messiah. I didn't plan to do any high life, but the audience, they literally clamored for it, right? So I think it's a tough terrain to negotiate. Trying to give the audience what they can appreciate while introducing new repertoire. So I use a formula, right? I would do 30% what I know the audience knows, 30% that the perhaps audience doesn't know, 30% something that will challenge the choir beyond their comfort zone. And the other 10% we just play with. That's how I usually set out my concert repertoire. So I think you're right. I think we have a responsibility as directors to also introduce dynamism, if you like, to our administrations, such that we warm up to the audience.
Great.
We warm them up to it. Yeah.
So for me, the whole thing is to either you standardize or you adapt, or you find a fine line between them. What I often tell the audience before we start Helios is that this is a participatory concert. And because you are participating, I'm introducing you to repertoire you can also easily flow with. There are some of my concerts that wouldn't be participatory, but be purely educational. So it is time for you to sit down and appreciate the art. You get it. You don't really always have to please the other people. So we know when to standardize. This is the standard. And we know when to adapt. Okay, Charlie, this is their style, so let's do high life for them. But for some time, there are certain programs I would not compromise. If it's not a high life thing, I'll not do a high life thing for you. And even you realize that there are some clients that they want to engage you for an event, and you know that this event doesn't need high life. Yet they would want you to do high life. And then after you do high life, you realize that there are people in the audience that are music purists that you never knew about.
Exactly.
You don't underestimate your audience. There are music purists everywhere. They were just yearning to hear some cool classical piece, and you came doing high life, and then you miss a very big potential patron. So sometimes you need to really know how to standardize, sometimes adapt. So that's it for me.
Michael, it's your turn to leave a question for our next guest.
I have been hoping for us to have, what do you call that thing? An association. I know there's been moves to, but it's not been really fruitful. My question then is, when are we doing it? Like, I really want a very pragmatic answer. Not soon.
Yeah.
I want an answer. So, I mean, the person who answers it would drive us to our first meeting. That should be fantastic.
Yeah, it's good because I've seen, we are all part of a couple of WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
But they've remained WhatsApp groups for many years. And I think perhaps we should set it into action so that we can...
Generally, I think we need a bigger voice, and then we need a voice at the table. And we can only do that if we're one. I mean, the space is too small. We share the same audience, literally. I mean, the faces I see at Gramophone's concert, I'll go and see them at HC, the same audience. And so if we really need to make a very big move, we need to do it together. And then,
That's great. So I'll ask our next guest.
Same question. When are we having our first meeting?
Sure. What do you do for fun?
That's a tough one. I just listen to music.
Yeah, like
listen
me.
To music, yeah. That's fun for me.
What I do for fun? I said, music. I do music.
Music, that's
yeah.
There's always solitude for me, so music. Yes, do music.
Yeah. Michael Nii Lantey Lamptey. I think you are a gem. I think you are a voice for the future of choral music.
Thanks so much.
And I pray that the Lord gives you the grace to continue to do what you are doing.
Amen.
Continue to remain unassuming and surprising us. Yeah, and thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure having me. Like I mentioned, when you called me, it was like pleasant because it was my birthday, right?
Yeah, it was a birthday.
And I think after Mr. Ama, Dr. Adakwe, Dr. Apa, I didn't see myself to be next. I mean, you should have about 30 people before me.
Yeah.
Like...
In fact, I had you in mind for a panel discussion.
Okay.
I wanted to put a couple of directors together to discuss some issues.
Okay.
But I thought, no, I'll do you because your story needs to be told.
It's an honor.
Yeah, so thank you for coming.
Grateful. Thanks so much for having me. All right.